So my name is Stephanie Brow. So I'm with Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve, and today we're talking about green burial and a more natural life ending, final resting places, what that looks like. I'm going to be fairly informal. We won't go through too much of the history. That's not really what you're here for, but I'd really like if people have questions. There's always tons of questions about what we do, how it works, just like all the things. So I'll answer as many as I can. I feel like I do a pretty good job of answering that, but I'm the cemetery manager out there, so I've been out there 4.5 years. So I've probably heard every question. No question is a crazy question or a morbid question. We've heard them all. So I'll get right into it. Do I just hit enter to go to the next question? Oh, there we go. Okay. So, just briefly how I got into green burial. I've worked in the sales world for my entire life. And then, I know the owners specifically of this location. And so I went to work for them. And then my dad got really sick 4 years ago in June and was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and died 7 days later. And so I felt like I was placed in this journey so that I could walk families through the same thing. He had nothing in place. And so it was a very last minute decision. He is buried at Morgan Oaks. But that's why I'm still here is now I understand the process. So I'll talk a lot about pre-planning. You're still alive, obviously. So it's really important to have something in place. And that's where Michael and I got together. He obviously has been out to visit me multiple times at Morgan Oaks. But we'll talk a little bit about that. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about green burial. If you've never heard of it, don't know what it is, I'll breeze through the history of it, importance of it, the importance of pre-planning. I have pre-planning guides up here, probably more information than you'll ever want to give your friends and family, but it gives you a starting place. What are the options for green burial? What are the benefits? And then, as this gentleman asked me earlier about composting, so I'll kind of give you, if green burial is not it for you, what are some other natural great ways? So what is green burial? It's just an eco-conscious choice. Traditional burial practices back in the day, it's a decomposition, a back to earth, very simplistic, beautiful, graceful way for the body to decompose. And the purpose is to allow the body to return back to earth naturally without harming the environment. I think most people have no idea how many toxins go back into the earth with a traditional conventional burial. So if you have this fact sheet, there's some really cool studies on here that show all of the pollutants that go back into it. So that's one of the main purposes. Another big purpose of green burial is cost effective. It's about a third of the cost than a conventional. So just understanding there's no toxic embalming, so your body doesn't go through that process. We don't have that. We have all biodegradable caskets, no concrete vaults. So again, on here, it will show you the numbers for concrete throughout a year, how much concrete is put back into the earth because of a conventional burial, all the trees that get cut down, land use, carbon footprint. And so many families are saying, well, I want to do cremation. The amount of pollution that puts into the air, while it is very cost effective, um, there's a ton of carbon monoxide that goes into the air. So carbon dioxide. So it's not much better. It is more cost effective, but key differences, like I said, no embalming, the caskets, no vaults, and land preservation. Everything that goes into the earth is biodegradable. It's about a third of the cost. So I always say your burial is like your wedding day on your final day. That's what the cost is. At Morgan Oaks or any green burial facility, it's about a third of that. So you're not leaving your family with a huge bill. So anywhere from 1,000 to anything above that. So you're not paying for the gaudy caskets. You're not paying for embalming, all that stuff. Why do most people choose a conventional burial? It's lack of awareness. Most people don't attend a green burial discussion. Cultural or religious traditions, funeral industry norms. We're told that we're supposed to have a viewing we're supposed to be embalmed. That's what's normal. Legal requirements, people ask me all the time, is this legal? It absolutely is legal, has been for a while. Um, Misperceptions, and then families, like your kids or friends don't understand green burial either. So when you pass, if you don't have anything in place, they just go to what they know. So my job is to educate. You may hate it, you may love it, but it's just to educate so you know what options are out there. And I will say every picture in this slideshow is on our property. We're located in Lincoln. If you're looking for a beautiful place to walk, we have 3 miles of walking trails. You can bring your dog out there, you could scooter, you could ride a bike. It's open to the public and it's absolutely beautiful. We have chairs, you can sit and drink a glass of wine and hang out, have dinner, whatever you want. So this is all at the property. They are not paved trails, but they're not super rocky or treacherous. There's no, like, it's not gravelly. I would say it's more dirt and light rocks. Lots of, if anyone's a bird watcher, lots of birds. The Audubon comes out and names all our birds. You can go to our website and we have a full list there, or you can go to their website. So green burial versus composting. Somebody asked us, green burial is not the same as composting. So we are, you know, full body back into the earth. Composting is a newer method. It accelerates the decomposition process. So like we were saying, if you're in a rush to decompose, composting speeds that up. It's not legal here, so you have to do that out of state. You can bury the compost at Morgan Oaks or any green burial cemetery. We just are not a composting site. So we are green burial. So you actually go full body back into the ground.
What happens when you're composted? They did something to.
So most composting places, they have like a section where all the compost goes together.
How do you compost your body? You need to do something to make it.
Yeah. So they add like, I'm sure, stuff to it to create it. We don't do it at our place, so I'm not super familiar with it. But just like you would compost it, yeah. Chemicals or whatever.
And then dissolve down into basically elements.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you don't know what the chemicals are that you had to add to make that happen.
There are articles that tell what it is. I mean, you can look it up. And that gives you the process
Mhm.
for it.
And the time frame that happens in a day, a week, a
No,
month.
it takes a while.
Yeah.
For that process, because it's still decomposition,
Mhm.
but, you know, the expense of the cremation.
Yeah,
Cremation is more or less than this concept.
probably less.
No, yeah, but it's, the cremation is very, environmentally.
Yeah, it's not super healthy. We'll talk a little bit. There's aquamation, which is a beautiful way to do it. It's just more expensive because it's beautiful and not many people can do it. Composting does take time. And again, not legal in California. So then you have to transport the body to Washington, Oregon, somewhere else. Vegas, I think, is doing it. And it's a newer idea. But it's probably a little bit more than basic cremation, it would be my understanding, because of the process that it goes through.
So are you gonna cover this if you go to your place and do the green burial? Are you there as a dead person a day, a week, a month? I mean, what's the?
Yeah, so I'll go through that. So process speed, I said, you know, just generically speaking, we are slower than composting. We use up less space. So again, different, just depends on what you want that to look like. I'm not going to go through all the history, but everybody says to me, oh, green burial, this is a new idea. This is so exciting. This was pre-Civil War. We did this back a long, long time ago. And then it transitioned around the 19th century when the war happened and they needed to get bodies back here. So they embalmed them to get them back overseas so that we could bury everyone's loved ones. So this is not a new idea. It's an old idea coming back to life. And we at Morgan Oaks are one of the only places that do it full green burial. So there are a lot of cemeteries that do both. Um, but I'll talk a little bit about that. So obviously, cultural and religious beliefs, simplicity, returning to earth. We have a lot of religious groups. We have a Jewish garden. The Muslims have come out to speak with us, the Buddhists. So a lot of religious beliefs believe in green burial and just haven't had a place to do it locally. So if you are one of these religious groups, we do have a garden for you, or you can go in a garden where everybody goes. So it's not just for certain groups. What?
Just Catholic, following the church.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, we have gardens where everybody can be buried. We just have a Jewish rabbi blessed garden. So the benefits of green burial: faster, more natural decomposition, no perpetual maintenance costs, biodiversity, and then no forever plastic or metal in the ground. Okay, so the green burial process, this is typically where I get the most questions. Preparation of the body is done by the funeral home. So in one of the sheets that you have, I kind of have a very generic line item of how the process happens. So a funeral home is required to pick up the body, transport the body, and then prepare the body, whether that's cremation and they're cremating you, or preparing the body for burial. So the preparation at Morgan Oaks would simply be refrigerating you for anywhere from 1 day. The maximum is 4 weeks. I do not recommend that, but we had one family where family was across the US, and so getting them here was a logistical nightmare. Typically, your turnaround is 2 weeks at the most. So they would refrigerate you, place you in a casket, a shroud, which is just a cotton wrap, and then transport you out to the cemetery. So that all happens very quickly. That's why pre-planning is so important, is because there's a quick turnaround for people. So knowing where you're going to go, knowing your wishes, all of those things, already selecting your burial site, your choice of your burial container. Memorialization, people ask this all the time. We do have headstones. They are flat granite. Nothing on our property obstructs the view, so you won't see big, huge monuments. Our goal is just simply to be with nature, to see nature. If you don't want a headstone, we give you GPS latitude and longitude. You can put it in your phone if you're tech savvy and travel out there, or your loved ones can if you're there. Or we have survey pins. So those also can help you with that. So obviously, your burial is enriching the soil. You're leaving a legacy. It helps with the habitats out there. We plant oak trees on the interment. So we are known for tree memorials. So you can leave a tree at your burial site and then you are buried below that tree. And those are blue and valley oaks. If you don't want a tree, you don't have to have a tree, but that's just something that we are known for. Everybody wants to be a tree when they die. So we offer that for you. The pre-planning, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I hear anything from I'm not there yet and I'm not ready, I'm not dying. You never know. Like I said, my dad was diagnosed, never been sick, and 7 days later he was gone with nothing in place. And so it releases emotional stress, financial stress, and logistical stress. So having things in place, and this pre-planning book that I have for you guys, if you want it, I mean, all the details you could ever want or need, and it starts the thinking process. I know it's a hard conversation for some to talk about death, but there's 2 things we're not getting out of, and it's taxes and dying. And so like, be prepared, have a plan. So what are some of the decisions? Choosing your green burial site, whether that's Morgan Oaks, whether that's another location that you love somewhere else. Casket, no casket, writing down your wishes. Do you have a will or a trust? Your mark, what do you want your headstone to say or look like? Do you want a headstone? Do you not want a headstone? We have anything from do it yourself options. If you do a shroud and you want to tie dye it, you absolutely could. If you want to create your own shroud, we can do that too. We've had people build their own caskets because that's their way of dealing with grief. So I love that at our site, we can make anything happen because we are privately owned. And so I want to make sure if people have certain wishes that we can do those. Um, so the future of Green Barrel and what's next, we're going to talk about some of those options. Obviously, Morgan Oaks, any Green Barrel, it's growing acceptance. People are learning more about it, wanting to see this option. Shifting regulations. Traditional cemeteries are adapting. So there are cemeteries that are conventional or traditional in the front, and then they have a green burial section in the back. While I love that, that's not a true green burial. You're not with nature. You're typically on the side of a freeway and cars racing by. So we are out in Lincoln. We have 160 acres out there, and it's just you and the wildlife and maybe 5 or 6 cars that go through the day. So it's just peaceful. It's serene. This is a picture of part of our property here. You can see it right back there. Okay. So future aquamation. This is one of the things I talked about. This machine here, this is basically high pressure water with alkaline that decomposes the body. So it's a very beautiful crystal option if you're looking for beautiful cremation remains for some reason. But the main purpose of this is it's less pollutant than a basic cremation. So there are some places here in California that offer that. It's great. It's beautiful. We can always take those remains at Morgan Oaks. I just put this in here for fun, but now there's space and tree burials. Don't ask me any questions about that because I don't know. It's probably not real, but that's the new age stuff. And then overcrowding. Of course, we do not bury on top. We are side by side, and we do not resell your plot once you've decomposed. Those are probably 2 top questions I always get. So we have tons of space out there, and we're not taking over. We're not in, the city limits, creating more mess. So I love this slide. This is probably one of the slides we get the most questions on. Is it illegal? Like I said earlier, it is not. We are permitted. We are mandated by the state, the Cemetery and Funeral Bureau. And so again, we're next to each other. We're not on top of each other. Bodies must be embalmed by law. That is not a true statement. Refrigeration, dye, ice, and natural cooling methods can be used at any point. I get this one. Green burials attract animals and spread disease that they can smell your body as you decompose. We bury 4.5 feet deep. They cannot smell that far under. And the reason most people think 6 feet, we do 4.5 because that's the best place for decomposition on our property. So that's where the bugs and everybody like to hang out is at 4.5 feet. So you will not have any animals sniffing your plot, digging you back up. None of that will happen. What?
Everyone's in a casket.
They are, yeah. And your casket's biodegradable. So it's wicker, bamboo, anything biodegradable. Green burial is just a trend. Like I said earlier, it's not a trend. I'd like for it to be a continuing trend, but it's been around for a really long time. So it's for environmentalists only. Obviously that's not true. We have anyone and everyone at our cemetery. It's for someone who's looking for simplicity, affordability, and just a way to give back to nature. Something simple, but yet so beautiful and so peaceful. A traditional or conventional burial people think is more dignified. I think until you've seen the cemetery, people think, oh, they just like take them and throw them in the plot and they're good to go and throw some dirt on them and walk away. Absolutely not what we do. We have a lowering device. We are just like a conventional cemetery. It is absolutely beautiful. And we do all the same things a conventional would. So you're just going back to earth naturally. And then of course, cremation is a more eco-friendly option than green burial. And I show you here 534 pounds of CO2 per body, which is the equivalent to a 500-mile car trip. So during COVID, when there was all the cremations happening, LA had to shut down a bunch of the crematoriums because of the pollution that it was putting out. So it's not a better option. It's a more affordable option. This is just some facts about body decomposition. So typically in a green burial, 8 to 12 weeks. But bones and other things can take 20+ years, just depends on factors like soil, moisture levels, things like that. I already told 4.5 feet is what we do at Morgan Oaks for body depth burial. And we do allow headstones, like I said. Huh? Great question. So we have a separate pet cemetery. So currently we have a Jewish garden. We have Sunset Bridge is an everybody garden. Bridge of Peace is an everybody garden with a first responder section. And Bridge to Valhalla is our veteran section. Our veteran section allows veteran and entire family, unlike a typical veteran section, which is vet and just their spouse. And then in the back corner, we have Rainbow Bridge, which is our pet cemetery, anything from a turtle to we can bury a horse. Yes, we have not done that yet, but we do have the option. My guys have not done that, but it is not legal to bury your pet with a human at this point, but I believe next year in 2026 it will be legal. I know it's so weird. It's a stupid law, but it is a law. So we can't put you with your pet right now. If we weren't being recorded, I would add to that. But since we're recorded, you can ask me more details about pet burials later. If they're cremated, huh? It's not legal in California. Pet burial's not legal with the human. It's legal here. Yeah, all of California. Uh-huh. Yeah, so we're just in Lincoln, but it's legal everywhere in California. She's amazing. And she kind of navigates those questions of like, what do I do? How do I handle this? Who do I call? And so I love the death doula. She's amazing. She's not. We just work together. I just refer her business because I'm passionate. We run a podcast and she was my last interviewer. So if you're interested in our podcast, they're pretty rad. Go listen to them. But she was my last one and she blew people away with what she does. And so it's the Morgan Oaks Green Burial Chronicles. Yeah. Yeah. So we're on episode number 4. We're pretty serious. You're welcome. Cost. Okay. Yeah. You can visit our websites, but I can just give you some ranges. A full body green burial single is about $4,100 to $5,800, depending on where you are on the property. It's real estate. So a hilltop view is a little bit more expensive. Our veterans get a discount, so they get the lowest cost. We have a companion plot, which is 2 burials side by side, $7,300 to $10,000, depending. We have a family plot, which is 4, and we have a tree memorial. So the highest priced one is a tree memorial, which is just about 20,000. And before you're like, you have to know all the logistics that go into that. That's 2 burials, that's your tree, that's everything. And we talk about what that looks like. We do offer financing. We make it work for you, but cremation is anywhere from $1,700 to $2,500 if you just want a single cremation, and then same thing. And just because I said family of 4, I mean, you could do 20 out there. I just price them at 4. We just had someone do like 8 plots together, but you can do whatever. Other questions? Yes, Michael.
Showing pictures of trees. It's gonna be trees.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful out there. And we have, I get a lot of questions about once you get out there and even before then. So our parent company that owns us is called Wildlands. They're a wildlife mitigation company. So 40 acres on the property is wildlife preserve. So you'll see ducks, geese, birds, all the things. But they manage our land management, arborists, biologists. So all the trees are strategically placed on the interment area. So you're not going to have overcrowding. You're not going to have, how do the trees stay healthy, things like that. So they manage all of that for us. So there is some thought behind it.
close to tree?
Yeah, so I tell people if you don't personally want a tree, you can borrow someone else's tree. So I can show you like steal their shade if you want to. But yeah, so you're all together. And so you don't have to do a tree, but you'll be by a tree. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, because my mom, we thought that at Calvary.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She said, oh, see, anybody you can stop, her family. I go, there's a tree being shaped. I do that after I'm visiting a lot, but way at one time of the tree farm.
Oh, yeah.
So I assume unless there's some kind of fire or disease, the tree stays there.
Yeah, forever. I mean, long past our life. We have trees that have been there hundreds of years right now, but obviously the new ones we're planting will be small and then they'll grow for hundreds of years. So yeah, we don't cut them down unless like they're dead and rotting. And those are ones that are not in the interment area. No one's there.
But you
Yeah,
don't irrigate either. right?
we don't. So we don't irrigate. Great question. It is natural, but our internment areas are all well kept. So that way you can see the headstones. They're not like growing crazy. I mean, Michael again can vouch for us. We mow on the outside of the internment areas twice a year for fire reasons. So, we have that, but yes, it is, natural and no, yeah,
I mean, that's the way it looks on a-
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Sure.
And people wouldn't get cremated and then go through this process, right?
Yes, they would.
They
We
did
have,
that.
mhm.
You do that too?
Yeah, so we have a lot of cremated remains. Last year, probably outsold cremation outsold green burial. I would say this year we're trending on more people doing full body green burial. And our trees, like he said, 3 to 5 years, they need to be watered. So we do hand water and water bag them and mulch them. Once they're 5 years old, they can kind of sustain everything else, the drought, the heat, all that. Question? You don't need a casket. You just need a shroud. And let's just be really frank, you don't have to have that. I mean, we haven't had anybody yet want to be placed back into the earth in the nude, but it's not like a law. Please don't get any ideas. My guys would be like, Stephanie, never say that again. It's not a requirement that you need a casket. I think for most people, the shroud is beautiful, but I've also worked there 4.5 years and they're not my loved one. And so a shroud is like a mummification. You can see the outline of the body. And for some people, we're not prepared for that. So a casket is like what we know and it's safe, but you do not have to have that. Right. And we don't have that. So no, you can't be viewed. Technically you could, if you literally passed and then went and saw them the next day, you could, but we don't do like our funeral home won't do a viewing for green burial. Yes, Michael. Oh, yeah.
2 hours.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So transportation, the funeral home covers all of that. You could die in New York and come back and be like, my final resting place is Morgan Oaks. Typically, if it's a certain like distance away, they would fly you back for refrigeration and obviously so the body stays fresh. But if you're, down in LA, they can fly or drive you back. We have people transported all the time. So it doesn't matter where you die, we can always get you back to Morgan Oaks. And the funeral home will do that for us. Yes.
They told a story about people who were traveling in Europe.
Mhm.
And one of the spouses died. And they wanted to be cremated. They had problems in Europe. That's not what they found. But it's actually cheaper to get cremated over there and cash transfer it back and fly body.
Yeah.
It's expensive. So yours is just the United States. Is that correct? Or do you have agreements?
So we are just a cemetery in Lincoln. That's the only, like, we don't have another location, but the funeral home, it's not ours. It's just the one I work with very closely. I mean, he has contacts overseas and knows what to do, but we don't now have another site you could go to currently. Hmm.
Travel insurance covers that kind of stuff?
Yes, it does.
The cremation too, or not?
Cruise ships have,
Uh,
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it happens more often than we want to know.
Fascinating.
Two more?
I see where it says tree with plants, so is it plants that only that you make available or and someone?
So okay, so that's a great question I didn't hit. So on our interment area, we only plant blue and valley oak. So we plant that for you. As far as plants, I tell families, as long as I don't have to care for it, we seed for wildflower, poppies, all the things that are just kind of naturally growing out there. You can't come in and put like a rose bush or anything that would be cared for. But we have people that come out and put flowers and seeds and whatever. That's totally fine. Nothing artificial, no plastic glass, none of that. So it looks very neat, but you can't plant your own plant. We have someone do daffodils. That's great. It just does its own thing. No plastic flowers, no pinwheels, none of that. But please give me grace. None. Give us grace because people don't listen to me and they do it anyway. So my guys will come and clean it up and notify the family. But we don't let any of that stuff sit out there.
So can people go to the gravesite the day the
Yes, I did not say that. So thank
Oh.
you for asking that. So with your plot price, that includes a graveside service. That's tent, chairs, the setup. You watch the lowering of the body if you want. You can put some seeds in there. You could throw dirt back on it. We give you all the options to do it. But yes, just like a traditional graveside service that comes with your plot, anything outside of that, like we did a celebration of life for my dad on the patio, had it catered, that's additional. But yes, you can come and watch the lowering and help assist if you for free labor for me. Absolutely. Yeah. So
in the gravesite too, it's part of the price?
yes. Yeah. Whether you want it or not, there's no like line item for it. It just is in your pricing.
You might go.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And it could be one person. We just had a service with 350 people. So there's no limits to how many people you want there. Great. Uh-huh. Yeah, so it's a flat granite headstone, which you've probably seen somewhere else. And then you get to put whatever you want on it. So typical is first name, middle name, last name, date of birth, date of death, and maybe like a little saying about the person. And we have one gentleman out there who loved tennis. So he has a tennis racket on there. All of that is included in your headstone price. So it's not the headstone plus additional fees to inscribe it. But those are cool things you want to pre-plan. Like if you have something special you want to say, we have really funny ones out there that, people wanted it to say something great. But yeah, you have it inscribed. Kind of trying to think of what his says, and he thought it was so funny, but I don't know. I'll have to go through and think about it.
So, if they prepay, you hold that money in trust, how's that? Cause I'll tell you, my brother-in-law, he had money in his own personal savings for a funeral,
Mhm.
and then he got scammed and they took the money. Is prepaying and holding it in your trust safer than, say, holding it in a savings account?
Yeah. Yeah, so we hold it in a trust, and we don't touch that trust until the time it comes into play. But yeah, it's all held in a trust. So, I mean, realistically, no one's scamming us. The bureau checks that trust and does audits on the trust and manages that money for us. Yeah. Hold on, wait. Did you have more questions to that headstone thing? Mm-hmm. Good. I love that you've already pre-planned that. Perfect.
Did you want some pinwheels too, or not?
No pinwheels.
A rose bush. It's in Placerville, you said.
Hmm.
And they do angels. Yeah, it's great.
I like it. Good. Michael, did you have a question? Oh, well, you are just, there is a winery. We can throw a rock to them. And Michael's saying that because he got a bottle of wine for coming out and touring with me. So he's a promoter, but it's really cool. So we have Rancho Robo across the way. So I always tell people all the time, grab your bottle of wine, come sit at the fire pit when it's not 104 degrees and just hang out and view the sights and check it out and watch the wildlife and relax. I mean, again, when you walk up to our property, you're not like, oh, I've entered a cemetery. By no means do you even know it's a cemetery because the burial grounds are kind of spread out. It looks like a park. It looks like everyone thought it was a golf course originally. Now everyone thinks it's a wildlife preserve, which it is. So it just feels good. So yes, there is a winery. There's actually a couple, but Rancho Roble is like, we could throw a rock and hit it. We're off of Fleming and Gladding in Lincoln. So it's like 30 minutes from here. And we have people from LA from here. We have New Jersey. We have, I mean, people have traveled all over to come to us. So like, this isn't that far. Anybody else? Questions? I thought I saw a hand raise.
You said,
Headstone flat granite.
so is that kind of what they also call them?
And again, I would say whether you want to be at Morgan Oaks or not, come out, tour with us. We schedule by appointment only, so you can contact us and schedule it and just see what you think and ask me any questions you want. I did give you a flyer for something called Coffee and Conversations next Thursday at 10 a.m. on our property. So if you want to, like, you're not ready to just meet one-on-one, but you want to hear from the funeral home and us and see the property, that's a great opportunity to get a free cup of coffee, bagel, donut, whatever you want, and hear a little bit more about who we are and see it.
And the funeral homes there too. you
Yeah,
said.
and my funeral, not my funeral home, it's just the one I really like.
Right.
He will be there as well to answer all your questions. Good? Did I miss anything?
Fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me and listening and coming in on a, yes.
This land guys have, there's no church that being sold.
Yeah, great question. So she asked if this is, it's our land, we own it. We could sell it, but once a cemetery, always a cemetery. So we have over 125 people buried there. The rest of ours are pre-planned. If we sold it, they would have to take it over as a cemetery. But yeah, it's always going to be a cemetery. Michael?
Yeah.
Certificate of ownership?
Checklist. Fine.
Yeah, I would say start with this.
Thank you. Stephanie.
Yeah, thank you.